Plot Twisters.
This is a podcast where we take movies and twist the plot to see if we can make them better, and if not, punkier.
At the moment, we're talking about teen movies from the 90s.
On this episode, Go from 1999.
I'm Anders, and wait, you want me to sell Amway?
I'm Emma, and it's Confederated Products. It's a different company. It's a different quality of product.
Completely different.
Completely different, let's be clear.
Have you ever been involved in a pyramid scheme? Or like a join us and sell this thing and we'll all get richer thing?
Not that I'm aware of, but I haven't checked my bank balance recently, so some business dealings I had a few weeks ago could have gone terribly wrong without me realizing.
When I was in high school, there was this thing where people signed up to sell knives.
What?
Like door to door, like door to door knives.
Like kitchen knives?
Yeah, like kitchen knives.
Okay, I was going to say, that sounds, yeah, all right.
But still, it would be like, hi, I'm cold calling at your door. Want to buy some knives? Or do you want to sell knives? And then the more knives you sell, we all get knives, I guess?
That's troubling. If it's kids doing it, that's weird.
Oh yeah, young children. These were not fully fledged adults. You're 16 and you're selling knives. I mean, that's, it was a different time. It was the 90s. It was a different time.
Yeah. We're here today to talk about the movie Go.
Go.
I have some complaints I'd like to issue initially, and I guess also kind of like a piece of advice to our listeners. Anyone who's thinking about potentially like making a movie and giving it a name, don't call it a 2-letter word which happens to also like be a word and also is the start of other words. Yeah. Because it's like I typed it into it's hard to Google. I typed it into my TV search thing, and it's like, did you mean Gotham? Did you mean Godzilla?
Go dog go. Did you?
Yeah.
Yeah. No.
So that was annoying. I just want to get that out of the way.
All right, good. It's good to air these things out before we get into the.
It's like if you called your movie The.
Yeah. I bet there is some fancy art movie called The. And it's probably difficult to watch.
Yeah. So, yeah, that's annoying. However, I don't think that opinion is representative of the quality of the film. Because I thought the film was quite good. So they should have called it something else. Anyway, shall I recap the movie? Is it me?
Yeah. Go for it. Go for it. You go, girl.
This is a film which is basically centered around a drug deal. There are 3 different timelines which take place one after the other, centering around different characters, and they cross over in a very Pulp Fiction sort of way.
It is very Pulp Fiction, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
And the main lady looks a bit like, what's her name?
Uma Thurman.
Yeah. The first set of characters are a bunch of teenagers who work at a supermarket. One of them is basically, she's having problems paying her rent. Her name's Ronna, which is a name that does not work in a British accent.
Rona?
Rana.
Rana?
You say like Rana.
Rana. Yeah.
Because it's like shorter.
Hello, Ronna.
Ronna. Yeah. Doesn't really work, does it?
Right, yeah, because that sounds like...
I think Rona is okay, but yeah.
Rana sounds like you're talking about someone in a marathon. And it's confusing.
Rana.
Is she a runner?
What, Rana?
No, that's my friend Rana. Yeah, I know. It's your friend. Who's Runnering,
yeah. She is having trouble paying her rent, so essentially what she does is she finds an opportunity to make some money. Her friend Simon has a contact, essentially a drug supplier, and he sells drugs. 2 guys turn up and they're asking for him so they can buy some drugs. She essentially decides to take things into her own hands and facilitate the deal herself.
Right.
But when she goes to the deal, it becomes obvious that one of the people there is a cop. So she runs away and then she gets hit by a car, which is fine. The second storyline follows the British guy Simon. He's gone to Las Vegas. He basically just gets in loads of trouble, goes to a strip club, sets a hotel on fire, various things. That guy from Love Burger is there because obviously he is.
So
what's
good.
his name again? I can never remember his name.
Captain Loveburger.
The Love Burger guy.
I don't know, but it was nice to see him. He's the guy he's the guy from Clueless as well, with the skateboard.
Yeah,
and
the skateboard guy. He's just the same in everything. Movie people are like, we need a kind of slightly annoying, slightly pathetic guy to... Oh, Breckin Mayer. Why did I forget that? Breckin Mayer, yeah. So he turns up and things get pretty out of hand. Some people are after him, and it turns out that he had the credit card of the drug dealer from the first story. So the bad people then go after the drug dealer guy, whose name is Todd Gaines, played by Timothy Oliphant. So that starts to cross over, and then the third story is about two guys, and they're the ones who actually try to buy the drugs, who are actors. And it turns out that they basically got involved in this what's the word for that? Like
entrapment.
It's kind of entrapment
undercover
situation
thing.
They're wearing a wire when they go to buy the drugs, and we see them get set up for that, and then it all ties up at the end. All three stories come together, and what's very clever about it is that as you're going through the film, particularly through the first and second story, it's getting pretty bad, and you think that things are going to go really badly, but then they don't, and they tie up kind of everything's fine at the end. Not to ruin it too much, but I really like that. I thought that was quite fun. It was all fine.
Exactly.
And there's a few scenes at raves which are very fun, and some cool soundtrack as well. Some massive attack in there as well. Repping the hometown. That's fun.
I thought you'd like that. I thought you'd like the dance bits and the rave bits.
I did, yeah. I've been playing a lot of Cyberpunk 2077 recently, so this fit in very nicely with my
That sounds like a video game. Am I right?
It is a video game. Yeah, it's a very
fellow
cool
young
video
person.
game.
That's a cool video game. Am I right? Playing it on your Switch?
No, my Xbox.
Okay.
Yeah.
Those are different.
But it's as you can probably guess, it's cyberpunk themed, so it actually tied in quite nicely with this film in a way, because the rave scenes are very fitting.
Nice. You've never seen this movie before, have you?
No way.
Had you ever heard of this movie?
I had sort of heard of it, yeah, as my partner's seen it before and he really likes it. So.
Nice. I feel like this is one of those movies that I've definitely saw when I was a teenager, and I think I thought it was sort of an underground movie when I saw it, and I don't know if that's legit or not, but I remember thinking at the time this was a movie that made me cooler because I had seen it and other people probably hadn't seen it. But that doesn't. But don't read. Don't open that. Don't open that box.
How times have changed. Now it's not cool to see things that nobody else has seen anymore. Now it's only cool to see that when people go, "Oh, have you seen this?" and you go, "Oh, I've never heard of that." They're like, "What?
What? You've never heard of that?
What are you doing? Where have you been?
When did niche stop being cool?
Yeah, I often ask myself that.
Every morning.
Yeah.
I wake up, I get out of bed, from my bespoke bed sit, and I think, when did it stop being cool to be unique? 1999, apparently. I think that's when it stopped. Well, it's interesting. You haven't seen it. I've only seen this movie once or twice back in the 90s. I hadn't seen it for a while. So I was remembering Go, and I was thinking, right, it's that movie about teenagers who go and sell drugs. In the movie, if you haven't seen it, they sell these drugs, but they're not really selling drugs. They sell aspirin at this rave, right? And in my mind, that was what the whole movie was about. And I forgot that there were two other plot lines
Did you only watch the first half, the first third, and then forget to watch the rest? Maybe.
No, I remembered them when watching them. Oh yeah, there was other things, but I had blanked out the whole thing. But I was thinking when I was watching, this is one of those movies that has multiple plots that are going together. And I thought, ooh, Emma will like this because that's like a complicated thing to write, right? Because I've seen movies. No, for real. Because there's a lot of movies where people like, oh, it's lots of different plots and they all kind of twist and then eventually they all come together. And sometimes that doesn't happen and they're just confusing and they're not very good. Yeah. But this one really tied up really nicely and I really liked it for that reason.
I agree. I think it did tie together very well. Yeah. And it took it in an unexpected angle. The tie-ins weren't super direct, I suppose. It wasn't like you were seeing the same series of events again and again from different perspectives. You saw, you see a moment where they're all together at the start, and then it gets very separate, but it's the same world, I suppose. So that was what was quite nice about it. You felt like it was a brand new journey each time, but with people who were familiar.
You know what was sad though is like, Rana's whole deal was, I need money to pay my rent or I'm gonna get evicted on Christmas Day, right? So she decides to do bad things and sell drugs to pay her rent. And what happens to her at the end? Spoiler alert. She gets hit by a car and she's in a ditch. No, wait, but she does wake up at the end and she goes, oh, that was rough. Good news, I can pay my rent this month. And I was sitting here going, that's no way to financially plan. What are you going to do next month? Right? It was bad.
I wasn't a huge fan of her, I think. I didn't really get her, I suppose. And it's funny because at the start of the film, she just seems like a kind of moody teenager, I suppose. There's this scene where she's working at the supermarket, she's scanning things and putting them in bags, and then there's a lady who she's serving who's getting really grumpy with her, and then the lady says something like, oh, don't think you're anything special, I used to do this job, and then she says, oh, look at where it got you. And I was just a bit like, I don't know if that I'm not sure about that bit of dialogue, I suppose, because I didn't really get anything about who she was and what her background was. And I was wondering if you had any more insight on that, because she just seems like a person who's appeared out of nowhere and is grumpy and doesn't like her job and needs to pay her rent, and then randomly suddenly decides, I'm gonna go on this drug dealing adventure. And then she also has her friend Katie Holmes. There's a point where she goes to visit the drug dealer and he says he needs collateral while she goes and gets more money. So Katie Holmes goes and sits there and she has to really persuade her into doing it. And Katie's like, no, I don't want to do this. And I was like, I get who Katie Holmes' character is, but I still don't get who Rana is.
Yeah.
She's just this suddenly bold person,
Here's my headcanon. We know she's not happy, right? Not just because of the rent, but also just because life. I mean, look at this grocery store she works in. It doesn't look like a fun place to work. It looks sad. So she's sad because she works at a grocery store. Maybe she's someone who likes to party a lot and hasn't figured out her life. But you're right. They didn't tell us like a backstory. What's the backstory? Maybe she, was really driven, but then I don't know. She lost her way.
Okay, well, here's an exercise.
Yeah, okay. All right, let's do this.
You're an actor now. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
I've just handed you the script for the movie Go, and I've cast you in the part of Rana, right?
It's an honor.
Rana.
Thanks so much.
It's an honor, Rana.
It's an honor, Rana. I'll bring my all to this part. Thank you for choosing
you're
me.
reading through the script, and I'm the director, and I'm saying, okay, great. I want you to really think about her. What's her motivation in this scene, and really just flesh out the part from there. So what are you thinking straight away? What's her story?
Oh, in the scene where she's sad and mean to that lady with a baby who just wants to buy groceries.
Yeah, what's behind that? What are you going to bring to this as an actor?
All right. Well, in my mind, first of all, thank you for casting me. This is the part that I was born to play.
Okay, well, don't blow it.
I'm going to try not to. I'm actually really nervous. Here's the thing. It's the part I was born to play because I also work in a grocery store and I understand what it's like to fall from grace. In my mind, in my head canon, in my heart, and the way I'm going to play Rana is she got kicked out of high school for... They thought she was selling drugs, but she actually wasn't selling drugs.
Okay.
And as a result, she didn't get to go to college, even though she had a scholarship to Yale, and her parents disowned her, and she's living in a crummy apartment, and she's just going with this. She's allowing this whole bad part of her life to just take over. She was going to be doing something great. Now she's not, working in a grocery store. People thought she was selling drugs, but she wasn't. But then she's like, if everyone thinks I'm a drug dealer, maybe I'm a drug dealer now. And you know what else? I hate working in this grocery store. And you know what else? I'm tired. And you know what else? You know, it's just Mondays, you know, man. I just hate Mondays. Am I right?
Right.
That's really what I'm
What you're
bringing.
saying is that when you're there on the set and you've got famous director Greta Gerwig sitting in front of you, and she says, "What is it that you're gonna? What do you think the real motivation behind this character is, and why she's so frustrated, and where does that come from?" And you go, "Well, she's just got a bad case of the Mondays."
She's got a bad case of the Mondays. I hate Mondays, right? Yeah, she's got that real Garfield energy.
Yeah,
and that's what I'm bringing to this.
She loves lasagna.
Part.
Cool.
Every paw.
I get it.
Did I get it?
It's a take. I think what we are going to do, though, is we are actually going to go with Sarah Polley, who actually played the character. I don't know. I think she needed a more of maybe like a consistent approach to life, or an understandable or relatable approach, because it's kind of a big jump for somebody to go on to, I'm going to get involved with selling drugs to people I don't know. I think.
Yeah, I totally agree.
At least as an audience member, like, most people don't do that. It's not like, oh, I've decided that I'm going to take up ice skating, because, like, a lot of people have been ice skating and would go, okay, I know I don't want to do that, or I do want to do that, or whatever. But it's like, you know what I mean? It's just like, it's not a very... Yeah,
she didn't try anything else to raise money for the rent. She went straight from,
straight
I'll
to
work a
drug
double
deals,
shift to, I guess I'm a drug dealer now.
And it's like, why? Here's what I think. They maybe could have added this in, and it's a little bit cliche. So in a way, I'm glad they didn't do it, because I don't think this film had a lot of cliches in it. But if it was something like she was into the British guy, or she was into the drug dealing guy, that would have made a bit more sense, because then it's like, it's obvious that she's doing it to impress them, if you see what I mean, because that's a reason why someone would do something like this.
Sure, I could sell
they're
drugs,
trying to impress
right?
people.
I'm cool too.
But she didn't seem like that at all. It just seemed like quite a straightforward, practical decision. I need money, so I'm going to do this. And it's like, I think it should have been a more moral decision.
Yeah.
And that's not just me being a square. That's me being somebody who needs a specific,
I'm with you.
like a real reason.
The other two stories had clear, like, I understand why you're doing this thing, right? The whole thing with Simon in Vegas is that guy, not only does he tell bigger stories and lies than, you know, he's really living, but he also, like, is an irresponsible guy who wants to just gun it and go for it, right?
And he's consistently that way in everything that he does, that we see him do.
Even through to the end, when, you know, I mean, again, well, we've already spoiled the ending, so, like, you know.
Well, you've spoiled it.
But you said no spoilers, but also this happens, right? We're all into this together, right? Sorry. If you haven't seen, hey, you know what? I'm sorry. This spoiler alert. This movie came out 24 years ago. You've never seen it before? Well, too bad, because this is what happens at the end. Simon, he gets shot in the arm, and then everything's fine.
But does he get shot in the arm?
I think so. It sounds like it.
We hear a shot off camera, and then he says, "I'm fine."
I'm fine.
So I was like, does that mean he got shot, or did he shoot one of them, or what?
I don't know.
But it's open to interpretation.
Here's the thing. Simon, like, I felt stressed about him because
Yeah.
but he played it. But his character was so defined.
Yes.
I always go for it, even when I know it's a bad thing, right?
Yeah.
Even when I know we're gonna get in trouble, I don't care because I'm a loose cannon and I'm just going with it.
And he's introduced that way, isn't he? Right
Totally.
in the first scene, he goes and makes a really crude comment to Ronna and Katie Holmes, who I know I'm doing that thing where I just say the actor's name, so I should look it up. Her name is
Ronna,
Claire.
Simon, and Katie Holmes.
And Katie Holmes, yeah.
You don't need to give her character's name because it's Katie Holmes.
It's Katie Holmes, fine.
We don't see her that often. It's nice to see her. It's Katie Holmes. Sorry.
She says something like, don't do that. She's worked a 14-hour shift. And then he goes and does it anyway. And straight away you're like, okay, I get this guy. He's the worst. He's like that. Right. So it makes complete sense. The other two, Zach and Adam, they also were quite clearly defined because we find out that they're actors. Yeah. But we only find that out when we're introduced to their storyline in the third part. Because in the first part, we think that they're just fun people who are there to buy drugs, and then potentially cops when it turns out that they're part of this involved in this thing. But actually, it's the other guy who's a cop, who, by the way, is he's in The Dark Knight, which was fun. He says he's the bank manager. It's just fun. Really? Yeah, favorite movie. So I thought I'd mention that. But yeah, so we first of all we think they're cops, then we find out they're actors. And then there's just this even funnier series of events, which we then think that the cop is like a swinger, right? Because he invites them over to his house to have dinner with him and his wife,
who's also Jenna Maroney from 30 Rock.
Who's Jenna Maroney? Yeah,
just saying, and also
from Kimmy Schmidt,
from the Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt. Yes.
Yeah. So we think that he's like hitting on them.
Right.
But then it turns out that they're
the pyramid sellers,
pyramid scheme sales thing. And that moment where they're sitting around the table, they're having Christmas dinner. Yeah. Zach and Adam are sitting on either side of the table, and there's this Christmas dinner in front of them, and they're really uncomfortable when they're making up excuses to leave. Yeah. And he says, and the cop Burke says, "Oh, there's actually another reason why you're here. I brought you under false pretenses." And you think he's going to say, like, "Oh, because we want to, we want to have a thing here." And he's like, "Have you guys noticed the furniture in this room? Like, do you know where all the furniture's from?" And it's so funny. It's so funny. And then he goes down this whole weird thing, and it was very well done. I have said before, like, I like a good plot. I think this was a good plot. I think Ronna was a bit underdeveloped, but the other characters held together quite well. And I thought it had a nice vibe. It's
like those movies that happen in Vegas where bad stuff happens, like you're The Hangover, or it reminded me of, this is funny, it reminded me of Swingers, and then I realized it's the same director. Right? Yeah. These movies that are like fast paced, and they're bad people doing bad things, but it's fine because it's Vegas, and and then they have to like get to the wedding or whatever. But in this movie, everything's kind of nice.
Can I just say, how good is The Hangover?
It's very good.
I love that movie so much.
It's very good.
The like things escalating and getting slowly worse and worse and worse, and people getting tied up in more nasty business. Is always very fun, because you're just like, how on earth are they going to get out of this? And then when they do, it's fun.
So here's the question though, right? So it's a threefer, right? There's three plots happening at the same time that eventually tie together, where you find that they were part of it, and that's the whole thing. That's the whole thing, right? Somebody writing a movie like this has got to be like someone who goes, "Hey, you want to write a movie? Yeah. Should we write it about one, thing, and maybe it's complicated? No. Forget that. It's been done. We're going to write three plots. Then we're going to weave them together. Isn't that going to be really hard? Yep. We're going to do it anyway. My question is, that was two people having a conversation about writing a movie, by the way. Right. My question is, would this movie have been better if they'd just chosen one of the plots and really done it well? Because I look at it as like, that could have been three movies. Am I wrong?
I don't think so. I think it was I think it worked best as 3.
You wouldn't have wanted to watch a movie wholesale about Simon, who's a guy who keeps escalating things, he and his friends go to Vegas and have a bad time.
No, I think that's why it works. Is because you get 3 very different situations. So if you don't like one of them, you've got one of the others, or if you see what I mean.
Right.
Because I really liked when I say liked, I mean sort of I enjoyed the experience of watching the first story and the third story more than the second one, I would say.
Yes.
But the second one was still very good. It wasn't a, well, I suppose that's obvious. Like it was a bunch of men, and there was a lot of stuff happening that's
it's bad. No, for the record, if I was going to make one movie, I wouldn't choose Simon and his sex romp in Vegas, right? That wasn't me saying that's my preference. What I'm saying, I just chose that one. What I'm saying is
no, I know what you mean. Yeah,
right?
You basically you've got Ronna's bad trip. Let's call it, because this is like a trip because she goes on a trip together.
Oh right, yeah.
Then you've got Simon and his sex romp, and then you've got Zach and Adam's bad dinner. So you've got and in terms of like if we're looking at these from coming of age movies, it's only really the first.
Yeah.
Well, I suppose the first and second are both coming of age in a way, but the first one is the most coming of agey.
Sure.
So you get a flavor for different worlds, different characters you can connect to, and then because they all tie up nicely together. That's a very satisfying feeling.
That is good.
So it's experiential in the same way that something like Dazed and Confused, or
I didn't get that. Could you try again?
I didn't get it either.
Yeah, no, Emma didn't get it. You mean another movie where it was just people just driving around and not doing anything?
What was the one with the shot with the corner?
Oh, Suburbia? You hated that movie so much.
Oh god.
Oh.
So, like it's kind of experiential, like a Dazed and Confused or Suburbia, but because it's that thing of tying it all together, you've got that short-term situational element that I think makes it, it's got a drive to it in a way that those other movies didn't. So I like that. I also like that the drug dealer had a cat, and it was a very nice cat, and it wasn't really it was just like, yeah, that's my cat. And then there's a fun bit where there's a guy who's tripping out, sort of has like a mind conversation with the cat.
The cat, yeah.
And then the cat turns up later again as well. It's not really like, oh look, yes, I'm the sort of person who has a very fancy cat. It's just there.
It's just there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice little detail. I thought that was just quite fun. Because that then leads you to be like, oh, he's the sort of guy who has a fancy cat, but he's not a very fancy person.
No.
Interesting,
So we've established loads about the film, but the takeaway is this guy has a fancy cat.
This guy has a fancy cat. Hey, we have social media accounts that you can follow should you desire to do so, at Plot Twisters Pod on Instagram, Twitter and Facebook. And hey, if you share the podcast, I will personally send you a JPEG of Paul Rudd and his dog. See ya!
So do you want to twist this thing?
I think I know what you're going to say.
One movie instead of 3?
Yeah, one movie instead of 3. I thought that's what you were going to say. Let's take one of them and make it a full thing.
That's so predictable. You know what I was actually going to say? Because you were wrong about that.
Something much more smart and clever and interesting.
Yes. 5 stories instead of 3.
It all revolves around the cat, and it's kind of like Men in Black, where the cat is the center of the universe.
I guess. Oh yeah, Orion's belt. Orion's the cat. It's on its belt. Look at the belt. That's where the thing is. It's a whole planet, or whatever. Na 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 na. Getting jiggy with it.
Here's something we haven't done in a while.
Yeah.
We can kind of sheasel at it. Like
I know what you
Like,
mean,
you
but
know
just
what
in
I
case,
mean?
just in case our listeners don't know, what do you mean when you say, let's quote, she's all that, this movie? Because I'm with you. Same year, by the way. Same year, 1999.
Same year. Yeah, 1999. Yep.
Yep.
I will be 75 years old, and you will be older than that. And
Yes.
we will be,
Thank
we'll
you
be
for
sitting
reminding me.
here
Yes.
recording our podcast over our
Good
hologram video things.
Yeah.
And you will still be dragging out movies from bloody 1999.
There's so
saying,
many more.
"Here's another one."
We haven't even scratched the surface, right? There's so many more. There we are. You're 75. I'm a little bit older, but, still hip. And then what? And we're talking about She's All That?
And we're talking about still talking about movies from 1999. Basically what I mean is Ronna has been robbed. She's been robbed
yeah.
of, first of all, a love story.
Yeah.
Second of all, a high school experience.
That's
And
right.
third of all, going to the prom. Although she doesn't need to go to the prom, but let's just say.
But you said prom. Let's not make it all about the prom, okay? But what if there is a prom?
If we are doing this one movie instead of three things thing,
Yeah.
I would like to know more about Ronna. I'd like to know more about her life, her story,
Yep.
and like what's going on with her. And can we maybe also see what's up at her high school or whatever?
Yeah.
You know?
All right. I'm with you, and I think keep all of the characters that are in this movie. Okay.
Yes.
It's not three separate things anymore. It's a movie about Rana, but the other storylines can still be there, right? But shift the focal point.
It's an addendum to the original
Exactly.
movie.
So what if Simon is still in this movie, and the guys who go undercover are also still in this movie, but you twist it, and it's a thing about there's like something going on with drugs being sold in this high school, and Simon is selling drugs, and the two guys who go undercover, they have to sort of never been kissed go undercover as students in the same high school to crack down on a drug sale, right? So all the elements are still there, but it's in high school the whole time. Is that a thing?
Yeah. I guess maybe.
Right.
Isn't that the plot of 21 Jump Street?
I don't
that they're
know.
cops
I didn't see it.
You
Or the
haven't seen
original.
that?
No.
Oh.
No.
Okay. Well, we'll do that at some point.
It didn't come out in the
definitely.
90s. I never heard of it.
Yeah, you're constantly ribbing on me for not having seen any of these films, and then you haven't seen any other movies.
First of all, having not seen The Godfather, which I've also not seen, and having not seen the remake of 21 Jump Street are very different things that you've yet to do, right? That's like saying, hey, have you seen the pyramids at Giza? Nope. Have you seen the Arby's around the corner of my house? Nope. They're the same. You need to see both of those things. One of them is a monument to, history and time itself.
And the other one is some pyramids.
Exactly.
In Egypt.
Bunch of old triangles in the desert. Am I right? Get a McRib and call me later. You're welcome.
Yeah. Also, I have seen The Godfather now. It's just an update for everyone.
Flip,
So,
really?
yeah, I'm cool now.
Yeah.
And you're on your own,
And he goes,
buddy.
Are you talking to me? You talking to me, Godfather? And then he goes, there's nobody else here. I guess you are. And then he goes, you disappointed me, but it's my daughter's wedding, so you're forgiven, right? The Godfather, plus several others.
What were we talking about? Oh,
Rana's
yeah,
high school.
the
Rana
cops in
and
her school.
Simon's high school reunion.
Yeah. That's kind of it, isn't it? Like,
No.
they're cops and they go to the school and that's it.
Yeah, exactly. And they pretend. They pretend to be. The cop pretends to be a teacher. The actors pretend to be high school students, but they're actors, so they know how to do it, and they go real meta, right?
Yeah. Oh. Okay. No, I'm suddenly like.
You're
I'm
back in the
suddenly like,
game.
fuck. Wait, I'm back in the game. One of them is an acting teacher, is a drama teacher.
Sure.
Obviously.
Obviously.
And And his plot arc is that he like rediscovers his love of the art.
Yeah, I love that. He's been directing a lot of kids' plays for so long. He's forgotten that he actually loves to tread the boards, you know?
Yeah.
And this gives him the chance to actually, act again and find himself through the process of being someone else.
And the other one teaches what's a subject that we haven't really like strayed into before. We've spent a lot of time on like sports and drama.
And math.
What have we not? Math, yeah. What have we not really played with in this space?
Politics.
No, we did an election.
Sociology. I'm trying to remember. Oh, French.
Yes, he's
right?
a French
teacher, right?
Does he speak French?
No, he doesn't. That's his secret shame. He actually doesn't. He just reads the textbook real good.
Yeah.
Real bien,
He's just really good at accents.
Exactly.
But he doesn't. He has like some French. He can order a croque monsieur in a restaurant.
Exactly.
But he can't what he does is he reads from the textbooks because he's really good at reading lines.
Yeah. So he can do it in real life. Bonjour, je veux un croque monsieur, s'il vous plaît, and scene.
Yeah, but then he's like, okay, everyone. So today, longs oui class oui and it's just like really
professor.
And everyone's like yeah and he's like
and then he pulls a fire alarm because he's not sure what to do. Exactly.
Yeah, and it's kind of like School of Rock, but it's that he's a French teacher. He doesn't speak French and he doesn't know what he's doing. I love that. Maybe it should be a language that I suppose is like I feel like with something like French, enough people would speak it to know.
Not in America.
Not in America? Okay,
Not
cool.
in America.
Fine,
You'd be
French.
fine. You'd be absolute. Trust me, you're fine. Right?
Okay.
If it's an American movie, you're good. In Britain, people are like, come on, we all kind of know how to do it. Maybe it's Flemish. Nobody speaks Flemish. Not really.
He speaks a language that isn't very commonly known, but he doesn't speak it. He just pretends to, and then he pretends to teach it to them, and it's fine.
It's Welsh.
Sure.
He's teaching Welsh.
Pointy ping. Yeah. So he then so then what's their storyline and what's her storyline? She maybe starts selling drugs, but they're not real drugs.
I really like the idea of selling drugs, but it's not really drugs, but placebo effect. The kids think it's drugs. That was one of my favorite parts of this movie, and I think that it definitely has to happen a lot in our version.
Well, it always works because kids won't want to admit that they're not getting high.
Totally.
That's the joke, isn't it?
Yeah,
They'll be like, "Oh, I
they're
totally
kids.
feel it."
Yeah.
Is that maybe it's some substance, like I guess we could take caffeine pills from the faculty, and it's so they get just like a caffeine rush. And
I love it.
That's what it is.
She's selling caffeine pills, and everybody thinks that it's, ecstasy.
Yeah.
But they're actually just, a little bit more hyper than usual. And that's
From
fine,
coffee.
right? Who does Rana... You talked about a love interest. At the end, does it all culminate at a dance? It's like the Christmas dance, like this rave, but it's actually like
Imagine if it was a prom, but it was rave themed. That would be so cool.
I mean, it was the 90s, so why not, right?
And it's like Faithless playing in the final thing. That'd be amazing. I kind of want it to be the drug dealer.
Yeah.
I think it's just because I think he's quite cute, maybe.
Yeah, I agree. And he's a student, or is he like adjacent to this but not a student?
Maybe he dropped out.
Yeah,
And so, okay, just off the top of my head, here we go. Quick fire. This is what it is.
Yeah, rapid fire. Here we go.
He's really smart, but he dropped out. He had to drop out of school because he was being pressured by his parents, and he didn't want to be pressured into anything.
Sure.
Because he didn't want to have to live up to their
Sure.
expectations. So he started acting up loads, and then eventually he got kicked out of school. So then he got involved with selling drugs because of his older brother, who he was trying to live up to the expectation. So the older, older brother,
Mr. School.
Yeah.
Right?
He was like super successful, super good at school, but was also selling drugs on the same side. And maybe even the drugs were why he was so good at school, because he was taking like,
Lots of drugs.
enhancers.
Yeah, sure.
And so then Todd was trying to live up to him, but he couldn't, and then he failed and he dropped out. He got into selling drugs. And tutoring on the side.
No, I like that. He is a tutor on the side, and let me tell you a couple things. First of all, his drug business is going very, very well. He's not only was he, not getting on with his parents, but now he doesn't need his parents because he's living on his own in a nice flat
with a very fancy cat.
With a very fancy cat, right? Who has an attitude, right? And he's let's say that he was catitude. Ugh. Let's say, that's a whole different tale. Right? Let's say that he was also good at chemistry.
Sure.
Which makes sense because drugs, maybe he's a bit like that guy from The Faculty and he's making his own drugs.
Walter White, yeah.
Right?
That's who
a young Walter White.
From The Faculty, yeah.
Exactly. Move to Arizona. Come to my car wash. But don't, because I'm a bad man. So he's tutoring science and selling drugs. And who's his next kid that he's tutoring? Oh, it's Rana, who's going to fail high school if she doesn't pass science. And that's how they meet and they fall in love.
But he's dating Katie Holmes first. But then, because of the events of the film still happen.
Yeah.
We just don't know that he also happens to be a chemistry tutor as well. That's been happening alongside. We just don't know about it. He has a thing with Claire, Katie Holmes.
Yep.
And then the conflict is that she's like, oh no, Todd, we had a whole thing, but it didn't really go anywhere, and but I don't know, but you can't go out with him.
No.
Even though I'm not going out with him, but that doesn't mean you can, but then they have to overcome it, and then Claire's fine with it in the end, because Ronna got hit by a car, so she feels bad for her.
Right, and then Katie Holmes actually realizes that she's in love with Simon, and that's how that works out.
Yeah.
Right. So in the end, it's the same movie, but it's set in high school. It's the same movie, but instead of 3 stories, it's actually 1 story. It's Rana's story.
It's the same movie.
It's the same movie.
It's just longer.
It's just long. It's hella long. 3.5 hours.
Much longer.
And we call it part 1 and part 2 and release it as 2 separate films.
Yeah.
Right? And also, because it's a rave movie, it's a quadruple disc set. 2 discs, part 1 and part 2 of the movie. 2 discs.
Soundtrack.
And when you open the movie, and it's a big, chunky 4-disc set, when you open it, it's filled with glitter. And here's the problem. It's
really annoying to clean up.
It's terrible to clean up. You'll never get it all.
It's like a prank.
Right? You will never get it all. And it makes the discs difficult to play in your DVD player and in your CD player. And it might damage the mechanism, and they're normally scratched a bit.
Bad for the environment as well.
And they're bad for the environment. This is super mega plastic. It will never degrade. And so what you're left with is a dirty apartment filled with glitter, a CD player that's been ruined, and it's skipping every track. And you can only watch half of the movie, and that's really just the scene that Simon may or may not have been shot in the arm.
Yeah.
And that's our movie. What do you think?
I love it.
I would watch it. I'd give it a go.
Yeah.
It's a whole thing, right? And people are like, hey, did you see Go? And you'd be like, see it? You mean, did I sort of see it, hear it, and am I living with it currently? The answer is kind of. Yeah.
What's the RRP?
Oh, $48 minimum. It's very expensive.
Very expensive, because you also get like a plush toy of the cat,
and it comes with a glow stick. When you order it, you get the shipping notification, and it's that thing where sometimes you buy something and it's just like you get a receipt and then it shows up, and other times somebody who's delivering it calls you on the morning to make sure you're going to be home. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
This is one of those. This is one of those.
You know that thing where we've gone like quite far with a really silly thing,
what are you talking about?
we both know we should be stopping, but we're also just like,
fine.
nah, we're gonna keep going.
No, it's
I want
totally
to keep
fine.
going.
So the box will be larger than most domestic homes, so you have to open it in the front garden. That's the problem. It's so big it doesn't fit through the door. And when you open it up, The life-size plush cat comes out first. Meow, right? High maintenance, and it's just a stuffed
Robotic,
animal, right?
remote controlled.
Yes, exactly. Remote controlled from a central location that we don't know about, and all of them are.
You don't control it.
No, and all
It
of
is
them do the
remote
same
controlled,
move
but not by
at the
you.
same time. Exactly. It is a cat, but it's a robot, but it's controlled by somebody.
It's like that episode of Black Mirror with Ashley O in it. Yep.
Don't know it, but for those who do, right? She's so right. And then then you remove the disc, and the disc, it's so big. It's like, why is this so big? Because it's laser discs, but not really, because they don't really exist anymore. So the DVD pops out of the laser disc, and it's, as we said, scratched from the glitter.
Yeah.
So scratched that mostly you just look at it.
Yeah.
Oh, and Timothy Oliphant, he's also in the box.
He's
He's there with you because
Yeah.
because he wants to be there, and then you get to hang out with him for a while. You have to do drugs with him, though.
Yeah, you do get drugs. You do get drugs.
And then it comes with drugs as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
It has like one of those, like, those organizational little drawers for like screws where there's little drawers that you pull out, and all of them are filled with drugs, and you have to do them all. And that's legally binding.
Yeah.
If you don't do them all, you go to jail. And if you do the drugs, you also go to jail. Catch 22.
Yeah.
Cat's got your tongue. Right?
Yeah.
So needless to say, I think that we have twisted this right up, and we have, I think we've improved what was actually already a pretty good movie. There's only one thing left to do, Emma, and that is that we need to rate this movie. I would love to know, on a scale of 1 to 10, dodgy and probably going to make you sick, shrimp from the buffet. How many shrimps would you give the 1999 classic? Go!
I'm going to give this movie 3 shrimps.
Yeah.
1 for each storyline.
Nice. I'm the same. 3. It's a 3. It's a
Nice.
3 shrimp. It's a 3 shrimp movie all day long.
Yeah, I've been saying this for years. It's a 3 shrimp movie.
Everybody knows it's a 3 shrimp. 3 tails.
A 3 shrimper, as I always say.
Don't you have a tattoo that says it's a 3 shrimper?
I have 3 tattoos that all say that.
Which is confusing.
Various
because-
locations. Yeah.
Yep.
Do you think anyone has the same tattoo in like different places on their body? You know?
What?
Like someone's like, "Hey, you want to see my tattoos?" And you're like, "Yeah, sure." So I've
Yep.
got this butterfly on my arm. I also have the same butterfly on my shoulder and on the side of my neck and
Spoiler
on the
alert.
back of my
Hey,
leg.
check out my new tattoo. Do you like it? I do
Is it
like
the butterfly again?
Yeah, well, hey.
I just like it, so I just
If
keep
it ain't
getting
broke, don't
Yeah.
fix it. You have 17 tattoos of the same butterfly. You have a problem.
it. Yeah,
You have a problem.
same one every time. Go to the tattoo parlor. You know what I want.
Yeah, I did
You know
what I
what I
was
want.
going to ask. Where do you want this time? Oh, you're back again. Another butterfly?
Yeah.
Yep.
Any variation? Nope.
No. God, no. Don't change it. I want more of the same.
It's working. Just leave it as it is.
Oh. Yeah.
Ugh.
Anyway, thanks for listening to this episode of Plot Twisters.
Leave us a review on Apple Podcasts.
We'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye. Bonjour, je veux un croque monsieur, s'il vous plaît, and scene.